Christopher McGee. I'm the owner of Halcyon Real Estate. Halcyon Real Estate is affiliated with the Keller Williams Market Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today is the 29th of May, 2023, and this is the real estate numbers. Every week I'm bringing to you the numbers that I find on the MLS systems. You can have access to that data, the same data that I have access to as a real estate agent here in Utah. Now I'll give you my take, my interpretation of those numbers, and I'll bring some information to bear that isn't included on the MLS, but I do want you to have access to this information so you can make decisions as you will with it. And just real quick before we get started, if you want a breakdown of what all these numbers mean that I'm going over individually and what they would look like if they all stacked up in favor of a seller or if they all stacked up in favor of a buyer, go ahead and check out my real estate numbers explained video. You can get solid on all that. Now let's look at some numbers. All right, first, as always, is our inventory. Our inventory is sitting now at 7,268. Now that's up by about 120 from the previous week, and that's trending up now for the last 2 months, after about 5 months of trending down by about 200 or so every week. So we wouldn't say that buyers have a plethora of choices. We're recognizing that it's coming up after coming down to about half the point that we would want it to be for a balanced market. Our second number is 40. 40 is the number of days on average that it's been taking for homes to go under contract once they get put up on market. So average days on market right now is 40. That is down by 9 from the previous week and still trending down over the last 4 months. Average list price last week was $636,936, where our average sold price was $628,523. We look at the difference between those two numbers, that was $8,413. That's $8,413 difference between average list and average sold, and that's in the favor of the buyer. They're selling on average that much less than they're being listed for. Now this week's number there, 8,413, is closer to zero or no difference between average list and average sold by just about $430. So almost no significant difference there. Still trending closer to no difference between average list and average sold price for the last 3 months. Number of homes sold in the previous week was 589. That's up by 13 from the previous week and still trending up. Our fifth number is the number of homes that are currently sitting under contract. They've accepted an offer, they're not quite yet sold. So that number sits now at 5,302, down by about 20 from the previous week, but this number is still certainly trending up over the last, well, it's been trending up since the beginning of this year. Now our number of price reductions per week. Price reductions per week is just what it sounds like. The number of times a seller who has their home on the market, but it's not under contract yet, the number of times that sellers reduce their asking price in order to attract a buyer. That came down by about 120, putting a sharp halt for now to the upward trend that we've been seeing there for the last couple of months. And then finally, the number of canceled and expired and withdrawn listings in the prior week comes just to 214, down by about 30 from the previous week, still trending down from the major drop that we had at the beginning of the year, but it's been fairly stable, as I said last week, between about 500 and 250. My take overall here is that things are moving in a healthy direction for Utah's housing market. We've got inventory moving up closer to a balanced amount. Days on market is not quite a month and a half. That's good. Our number of homes sold and under contract are continuing to trend up. Homeowners' confidence in selling their home is looking great, as evidenced by the low number of canceled and expired and withdrawn listings from our MLS system. Homes are selling on average for just a little less than what they hit the market for. All these things are telling us that right now Utah is not exactly a microcosm of what's happening in the housing market on a national level. What's happening on a national level is record low inventory and record low number of homes sold. Those numbers, both of those numbers, are on the up in Utah, and that is probably largely due to two things. One, Utah remains a highly desirable place for people to move in America. And two, as I mentioned last week, we recently legislated some incentives for first-time home buyers as well as incentives for new home builders. Now, the number that I never go over that affects all of this, you probably guessed it, mortgage interest rates. That is currently high, and while the Fed could just hold still on their interest rate hikes and endure the wait period for the full effect of the rate hikes tactics that they've been taking over the last year plus. Instead, it's sounding like they might be a little more aggressive about that in the near future. So when interest rates are high, but you want or need to move, a common saying in the housing market industry is that what you really ought to do is date the interest rate and marry the house that you want. If there's a house that you're excited about or a house that you need and you feel like an interest rate that is currently high is in the way of that, then you don't have to long-term commit to your interest rate, whatever they happen to be right now. You can refinance in the future. So 7% looking pretty good here, but a little dangerous, not exactly long-term commitment material. But if I have to go through you 7% in order to get the house that I really want, I'll do that, and then when 4 or 5% comes along within the next couple of years here, I'm gonna drop you 7%, and I'm gonna attach myself long-term to 4 or 5%, whatever better interest rate I can get in the near future. I can just refinance in the future. So you can date this temporary relatively higher interest rate and get yourself into a long-term commitment. Marry the house now and marry a better interest rate when one comes along in the next couple of years, as we all expect it will. And there are options like interest rate buy downs. If you're a buyer, you can actually negotiate for the seller to pay for interest rate buy downs on your behalf. So there's options like that you could take advantage of right now that can make 7% interest rates a little bit easier to go down. So if buying a house is in your near future, you don't have to worry that you'll be married to a 7% interest rate. Marry the house you want and date the rate. That's it for this week, guys. So if you have any questions at all about anything that we went over in this video, go ahead and hit me up with some questions in the comments there. And if you or anybody you know is looking to move in Utah in the coming months, please feel free to reach out to me. You can reach me at my cell number there, 801-834-9713. My team will be happy to help you. And as always, if you want to stay better educated on the Utah real estate market, if you want accurate, weekly, forward-looking data for Utah's housing market, there's not going to be a better way than to hit that subscribe on the top left of your screen, and I'll see you weekly and we'll stay educated together. Well, I'll see you next week, guys.